Welcome to Music Vibes. In this podcast, we talk about everything related to being an upcoming artist. I'm Santini. I'm an artist, singer, songwriter, entrepreneur, and music promoter. And every episode, we have a new topic and a new guest. Subscribe to Music Vibes on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Audio Mac. Let's groove on. Hey, I'm here with Nana Kwame, also known as Nockus from YFM, one of the biggest radio stations in Ghana. Welcome.
What's up, everybody? Yeah,
Hey,
what's up, Santi?
yes, it's so good that I have you on right now because, we have been introduced to each other beginning of last year before I came to Ghana. And I'm telling you, you have been my rock here in the music scene, really.
Wow,
Um,
thank you for having
yes,
me too.
yes, really, and
I
every
guess
day.
it's about time I got on your podcast too.
Yes, I'm really happy because yeah, we have been planning and doing a lot of things. Been on a karaoke show with because of you on TV, performed at the YFM Awards. I mean, all these things. That's why I say connections are so
Thank you,
important.
thank
So, thank you for
you. It
that.
was a pleasure. I mean, why not? When you see good talent, you just want to give it a chance.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate. So for everyone who listens in and who doesn't know, who's internationally doesn't know what YFM is. YFM is a big radio station, like hundreds of thousands of people listen to it. I don't know how many people you have listening. It's like or millions
All
even.
right. Um. Okay. So basically, we say he has a critical mass of
Mm-hmm.
the youth in Ghana
Mm-hmm.
because currently is in three regions and it was the first station to do that fully.
Mm-hmm.
Accra, Kumasi, Takoradi, that has a critical mass of the youth of the nation.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it also came up at a good time where the youth needed a radio station that could cater to its needs.
Mm-hmm.
So, 13 years ago, it was my pleasure to have a chance at writing um, the blueprint, if you want, for a radio station that was going to cater to the youth of the nation because there was that thing, there was the need for that. Every urban center, I believe strongly, deserves a place where the youth especially and all the different people that have come together. Urbanization is about people from different backgrounds
Mm-hmm.
that have come together to be able to unite and speak easy. Usually, traditional radio doesn't provide for that because traditional radio is doing a whole lot of things, politics, sports, that. So there's not enough time, especially for the fun and entertainment part,
Yeah. True.
which YFM came to do. So it caught on like wildfire based on the success of it in Accra. We went to Takrady, then we went to Kumasi,
Yeah.
So yeah, I sit probably as a culture curator because I kind of had this programming that I had been working on that I believe because the
Mm-hmm.
programming for YFM had not really worked in Ghana.
Yeah.
Every time that type of station comes up. And the truth is, radio itself, private radio has not been in Ghana for too long, let's say.
Everything was publicly owned, or it's like.
20, 25 years, thereabouts, it was only the state-run radio stations until there was some freedom. Yeah. So radio itself hasn't been.
Yeah, so I was wondering because you're talking about that new type of like for that type of radio. So you mean like new genres because you told me that you have basically paved the way in the music industry for a lot of names that we see as big names now, such as Shatta Wale, and by making sure that dance hall, for example, is being played on the radio. So how was that? How is it to open up a whole new genre? Yeah.
Yeah, like what I'm saying is, so what was happening was the traditional radio, although radio itself hadn't been around for too long, the traditional radio only had as much space for only as many artists. You understand it? They were not into, so there was a need for a proper radio station that had, you know, what is the word? That had respect and had money to it. You know, to run that agenda. It was full-time music. That's when, if there's a lot of music, that's when you can go on radio and they're doing so many other things, chasing after the president. They're doing this, finance minister, all of that work going on in a radio station like that. There's not a chance. So urban music radio, as practiced by YFM, is what gave a voice to a lot of these artists were known as underground artists because traditional radio that they couldn't soak all of those names up. Only few that came up and had some big names behind them, backing them, were the ones that got radio airplay because there was only as much airtime for that much exploring the music. But when the radio station came and it was all about the music, you know, there's so much airtime for that and so much, a lot of names can be put in that incubator and grow from there. So that's what's really changed the music scene in the last couple of years. So YFM is 13. It's going to be 13 this year. I'm almost 13 because I started work way before the station itself came up. That also makes me want to ask the question that, okay, so if it's been 13 years of revolution and we've seen such much progress, why are we already clamoring for Grammy? It's not easy. Grammy,
yes,
Grammy doesn't come easy.
Everyone is
You
talking
understand?
about that.
I'm almost like, what impudence? Listen, the Grammy is a big deal. It's such a big deal that you need to get your stuff right.
As an industry, here. Yeah,
you need to get the things right. But Ghana music as it sits, have we gotten it right? You know, there's a show of talent. There's been some, you know, some tenacity. There's been some gains, a lot of gains inside these past 13 years, I must say. But the question is it good enough? Does it cut?
Ready for the Grammys?
Yet? That's the question. I'll say no. I'll say.
And why?
I'll say we're not ready yet. Because we've shown all the tenacity. A lot of us even are surprised at how soon, you know, all these doors started opening. You know, we've coupled with social media, you know, it was things were going to open up. But things are opened up. But the big question is, are we putting in the real work? Right. We've shown promise. We've shown tenacity. We've shown we could do it. There's been a few times that we've really done it, and it sounds good and all that. But generally, the question is there? Do you feel there is a buzz for excellence going on
here in
Ghana right about now? No. And that's what brings in the Grammy. You make what you have excellent. Now we have a system where people are staying relevant by wild stories. You know, that's how people are staying relevant. By wild stories continuously. You understand? That's not Grammy. Grammy is not, what's the word? I don't know that. That's not Grammy. No. You understand that? So I think we're asking ourselves the wrong question, like, why are artists not on Grammy? We have a lot of countries here in Africa. How many of the countries are on there? They all have artists. You know, but who's really working it? I can tell you, for example, that our music is not really grounded. With my experience, there is none or very few of these big name Ghanaian artists that really know the history of Ghana music and are building on it. No. I'm sure for most of them, if you ask them to give you some of the old school names, just the names, they might not be able to give you more than 5. And If you ask their music itself, that's another thing. You don't grow nowhere if you don't understand your roots.
So you think the history and celebrating also the ones that
First of all,
came
you need to
before you.
understand your sound.
Yeah.
What makes up your sound? What has happened before?
Mm-hmm.
How did it make moves?
Mm-hmm.
Then how can you bring that to modern terms and work on it? You can just pick sounds from around and work on it. It's not founded. It's not grounded.
Do you think that happens
You
in
understand?
Nigeria that a Wizkid and a Burna Boy that they really go back into like Fela Kuti or those kind of
That's
names
exactly what I'm
that
talking about.
then they built? Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Your music has to be founded because the Grammy is about originality.
Yes.
You understand? And if you're not bringing anything original, and the only way you can get your original self is to build on what has happened before,
Mm-hmm.
then you can understand what your future could be.
But also, I have a
You
question.
understand?
But is it also so because that what I heard a little bit while being here the last couple months from people in the industry here that like for example South African music is really being played here in Ghana and Nigerian music as well, but vice versa. This is not the case. There's not a lot of Ghanaian music in South Africa or in Nigeria. Why is that? Is there a certain lack of internationalism or wanting to go out there?
There are a lot of reasons for that. There are a lot of reasons for that, but it includes what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
If you take South African music, you can feel a proper South Africanness in it, something that is very South African. You feel it.
Yes.
But Ghana music, we're doing all types of things. We're mixing and blending all types of flavors. We've not really gone down to find a certain flavor that's purely and properly Ghanaian and enhanced it to make it sound good today. That's exactly what I'm talking about. First of all, when people do that, when you do that, then people start recognizing that you have something there and they want to know more from what you have.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not happening. Secondly, we are not making moves like they're probably making moves.
And what kind of moves are that then? Like if
Like
the artist
Nigeria make moves. Like in Ghana, one of the very big reasons why Nigerian music got popular here is for Chatter House and the presence of Chatter House all these years.
mm-hmm.
And Chatter House is partly Nigerian.
Mm-hmm.
And they found a way to be one of the biggest production houses in Ghana.
Yeah.
And by so doing, found a way of pushing a Nigerian music agenda. All
Mm-hmm.
throughout these years, they've brought in Nigerian artists. They have like 6 concerts in a year, different concerts from comedy to everything, all pushing Nigerian artists. They work with radio stations when they're doing this. When they're doing that with a radio station, you have to play the music from this artist. Sometimes people don't look at things from that angle.
Mm, true.
That is how the penetration works. With South Africa, naturally, I think it's from those apartheid days we had that solidarity with them. Their music got to us. That, painful music with that pain in it and all of that. So we know the sound. So even if it's refreshed and made modern, you can cling on to it easily. I
But
don't see
still,
South Africa really making.
but why is it not vice versa? I don't understand. Then we have like Ghanaian in Ghana, you've adopted it from South Africa, but not the other way around. What is that difference?
Yeah,
Yeah.
what I'm saying is who's pushing the Ghanaian agenda in South Africa?
Yes. And in Nigeria and in all those other countries. And, you know,
That's what I'm saying. So if nobody's pushing it,
mm-hmm.
then how do we expect results?
Yes, exactly.
So these are the critical questions that we should be asking ourselves.
Yes, yes.
All the artists, all the big artists today, let's just be real. None of them, like they say in the States, goes back to the hood.
Mm.
Like once they make it, they cut links with all the people that they knew, all the godfathers that used to give them advice and speak to them and all of that. They cut links with all of those people. You don't become successful and all of a sudden know everything and
Yes.
have no need for people who you know knew a lot and give you nuggets of knowledge when you were coming up.
Yeah. True.
And all of a sudden, they become nothing, and all their knowledge is trash. And because you're bigger, you have more numbers on social media and everything, they mean nothing no more. That's one of the behaviors of Ghanaian artists. In that way, you cut a lot of knowledge that can help you towards Grammy. Because all these people, we cut across a whole wide range, and we have different understandings of the original music that can get you there. So that's one of the things that our artists are doing wrong. And it cuts across most of them. I just put a post out on Facebook saying that they, excuse me to use the word, shitted on all the people that used to help out. There is content here. There is people with knowledge enough that can say, oh, at this point in the beat, do it like this. Or I know this guy that can master this beat to this level and all of that. But because you've broken links with all of those people, you're not connected anymore. So you are losing out on, now you're left to what you know to do and what people will add to it. The new people that you've met right now will add to it and all of that. But most of these new people you've met are not originally Ghanaian, and they don't understand things from a real Ghanaian perspective. These people that used to advise you and give you drops of knowledge earlier saw what was in you coming up, and they knew where things could go. That's why they gave you, they were under no, obligation to help out or even spend their time on your music and tell you a thing or two or give you a platform. They were under no obligation, but they did it because they understand something, they saw something, and they saw you had the voice to move forward and they push you. Yeah. But now you go there and you cut everybody out and forget about everybody. You won't grow. The music will
stagnate.
Will be the same. Yeah. Another example, some of the things that are not making the music grow. Yeah, another example of what is not making the music grow, even before COVID. Ghanaian artists with their newfound fame all of a sudden became overly expensive. Now, if you become overly expensive, nobody can afford you. You don't get shows, you get a few shows. Some international companies come once in a while, a few shows. No, nothing is happening. There's not a scene. The music stagnates.
It's like, because they are not really before, like, okay, no, it's COVID time, but still, also in December when there was still, there was a lockdown in that period.
You go, so that feeling was there before. They were growing and all of a sudden they became too big for their own good. So all of a sudden they felt like the average Nigerian artist, they felt like the average American artist, I should be able to call $50,000. I should be able to call 100,000. No, we're just growing. All these changes happened in the last 13 years. You crawl first before you start walking. You just don't.
Do artists now that have that fame in Ghana, do they, how could they make sure that, or should other industry people do that to make the groundwork in those other countries to really have a presence there before that they can, charge even those kind of.
Yeah. Okay, so like I said, the other people who can probably do these things have been shitted on, quote unquote. They probably will not move a muscle. Like, let me give you an example. I had, by virtue of YFM, we had links with Rhythm, which is in 5 states in Nigeria. Now, my first time I visited, Shatta Wale was just coming up. I went there with, I went there with about 20 songs, trying to say, oh, it's a new Ghanaian artist, right? Okay, so I gave it to them. Whether they were going to play it or not, that's another thing. That's me working and massaging the system. But people like us have links. That's what I'm saying. People have been shitted on that could even help all those progress. All of those things happen. You understand? So I came back. I was still saying, I came back not too long after that. Shatta Wale disrespected me in front of the whole stadium. So imagine what work I had started for him on Rhythm. I'm going to stop. I'm not going to continue that work he probably, if that didn't happen, he probably would have been heard about in Nigeria a long time ago. You understand? Because I was doing work. I had taken out of, he didn't even know about it. But out of pushing the agenda, that's what I'm saying, that if there's disrespect and all these artists are behaving like they know it all, they know more than even as they came to meet. It's true that artists have been, downtrodden in Ghana for some time, but it's not my fault. It's not, and the change, the necessary, now the power has come back through some of the hard work we have done at YFM. The power has come back to artists. Because first, before you could have your music played, you needed big people around you. Yeah, you understand? To get radio play. We are the one that broke that jinx and had anybody and everybody at all. Hey, email us your music. Send us through WhatsApp. You didn't need any connections to get on radio.
Yes.
You understand? We changed all of that. So if you have problems with people, don't put everybody in a box and disrespect everybody. And you understand? There's been bad time for artists. It's inside these 13 years that the tides has changed for artists. Before these years, like I was saying, when regular traditional radio, that was when payola was big. Yeah, payola was really big. And so it was big people who had money that had paid to radio DJs that had. So if you're an artist coming from them, you could get play.
Yeah.
You could get play. But we've changed that. That's how come individual artists now became strong on their own. We started making money without all the big people. So first, before you become big, you have a lot of big people. They charge for your events. They take and give you what they want. That was the system that was happening before. So we've kind of, YFM, and I personally fought that battle because my bosses didn't know about underground and everything. It was my personal struggle, and I took advantage that the radio station came up. And I put that agenda to work, and it's brought a lot of benefit. But the artists became too big all of a sudden. So if you're charging a lot, and event organizers can't afford you, they do shows, they realize that all the money went to you, they got nothing. Everybody is going to stop, and it's going to look like there's nothing happening. You don't get a chance to go. You can only perform in front of your mirror or whatever. You don't get a chance to hone your. But if there's a scene, if artists are affordable and people are going around back and forth, even your back and forth, that practice even makes your craft good. It makes your singing good because there's a lot of work going on. That's when you have a scene. But we stopped having a scene, just like 5-6 years into YFM's work. Because all the big artists came up and now they were started calling crazy money. And even YFM as a radio station were not able to afford it. We that fought their battle for them were not even able to afford it.
So many artists, also upcoming artists that listen to this, don't understand it, that it's an industry. It's not just you doing your thing. You represent a country.
There's a whole lot of you to watch out for one another. It's not just, that's the truth.
Do you think there is a way to like fix it in a way? Like what could people do now, the upcoming artists that are here in Ghana now, to make sure that Ghana gets Grammy ready?
Well, to get Grammy ready, emphasis should be put on the quality of music. It's to the world. You see, you can play music that will sound good to Ghanaians by virtue of where the words that we know, how some sounds that we know and stuff. But there is music that cuts across. But it starts from knowing yourself, your original sound, and creating something good out of it. Because you can't go and outdo the Jamaicans exactly how they put their beats together. They've been doing it for how many years? You can't go and outdo the Americans with their type beats, their hip hop, R&B. There should be some Ghana beats that you must have honed and make it so internationally appealing. And it takes work. Work on your sound, your delivery, your quality, everything. That's what it is. It's not the wild stories and just insulting anybody that you can, disrespecting anything and everything, that kind of lifestyle. That's not That's not the lifestyle. I don't know where they're copying it. And that's one of the sad things. I'm one of the proponents for dancehall in Ghana. I've actually helped make dancehall what it is in Ghana today. But, you know, one of our things that we were praying for is that we only take the positives out of dancehall and make it, for example, the violence part has not really come here, and we are thankful for that. The unnecessary controversy part, that's what we've taken over. And, you know, how many Grammys go over there? You understand? With all the noise and everything. So it's still a subject of looking at the quality. It's quality music that gets rewarded at Grammys. And if you take Wizkid and Burna Boy, Angelique Kidjo, who won last year. I imagine Angelique Kidjo was a Ghanaian lady that won and dedicated it to Burna Boy. Do you know the insults that she would have faced? Do you know the insults? They would fry her because, oh, you are Ghanaian. Instead of mentioning a Ghanaian artist, you've got to mention a Nigerian. Doesn't she have artists in the country? Did you hear anybody insult her? That's not what quality music is. It's not just being insulting. That's not. It's nothing. I don't know what quality people want to get out of that.
Yeah,
that's cheap. To insult is easy. What do they say? They say power is nothing without control. We all have power to insult or do any unnecessary thing, but where is the control? The control is what makes it sensible to know when to talk and when not to talk. You understand? The banter is too much. It's not everything that has to be followed. It's not everything, you understand? And people are using critical hours. And there's 24 hours in a day. If you're going to spend it on gossiping and all of those nonsense, you are not, it's the same 24 hours that you need to make your music good. So are we really putting in work? That's the question. Are we really putting the work that deserves Grammy? Or do we think by virtue of just being Ghanaian, we deserve a Grammy?
Yeah, people need to hear this because it's so important, and it's very easy to become entitled, especially if you have a big audience of people, of fans, and you already are rolling with all the other artists from all those countries, you know. And of course, every artist in its own right is amazing as they are and do their thing, but the people behind you, the industry, the people, the connects that got you, put you on, that is the real foundation. So I think, yeah, what you said is very, very real.
There's one thing that you said as well that they should look at, that it's an industry. It's not just about you. So we should be watching for the growth of each other. It shouldn't be your growth alone. You shouldn't be looking at myself and what I can do. You know, sometimes even for artists that like old artists that want to come back, you can transfer your knowledge and stuff to a younger artist to do. There's nothing wrong with a new name coming to do what you wanted to do. Maybe your name is not flying again, no matter what you do, but there are things that you know that you can empower a young artist with that can, and that's the kind of thinking that we should have. That's when we all grow together and get there. Let me give you an example. Burna Boy's mother was on Fella's team, right?
Oh wow, that
so
explains
when
a
it
whole
comes
lot.
yeah, she was on Fella's management team at the time. So my take is that you don't know more controversy than her. If it was important, that's where she'll be pushing her son on. You hear him just being unnecessarily controversial.
No.
You understand? But is he doing that? No. Is he working hard at quality? Do you feel when he gets on stage, do you feel that this guy has a mission and he's here to please you musically? Do you feel it? That's real, that's true, and that's what you work at as an artist. It's a mission. It's not just something that was going to make your name big and be in the sky or something. It's a mission to send messages across, to be able to give people certain moods and stuff at certain times. Are you doing it to the best of your ability? Are you using the best of your voice on your worst day on stage? What are you able to pull out of yourself? Are you taking the people for a ride? Are you trying to be slick? You understand, or are you about real music? And one example too was like the everyday things that we do that we don't like. For example, who do we award locally? How heavy is our award shows? The aim of an award show is to give the best, so that next year, before somebody takes over, that person does better than the best, and the next person next year, the year after, does better than that. That's when the music goes up. But if you give awards to anybody at all, what do you do to bring the standards low? So anything is anything. Some people don't even have to do too much to do better than the person who won the award the year before. So is our award, are we giving the awards to the right people who really deserve it, who have worked hard, who feel international? That's what you're going to go from. But if we are not working at that and we are giving awards to anybody and everybody at all, and
like there is hope in the sense of if here in Ghana we focus on excellence and it's a team effort, so it's a whole transformation everyone has to be willing to go through, starting with artists themselves as well, to look in the mirror and be like, okay, am I here on a mission? So I think for all upcoming artists that listen to this is so important. So for in every country, by the way, wherever you're listening from, it's not about you, it's about the community and who you do it for and your fans. And I mean, it's a group thing. If you didn't have people listening to the music, or people putting you on, there wouldn't be anything. So thank you so much.
see what PR Burna Boy does if he was inward looking. See how he talks about Ghana when he has a chance, or even with. That shows you how open they are. They're not just looking, oh, Nigeria people will kill me
But
for
isn't it
saying
also a
God
thing that an
lives
artist
in
here
Laban.
shouldn't be afraid of
No,
what people then say about
yeah,
them?
that's okay. That's okay. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like being real at the end of the day, just being real. It's not just being trying to keep up appearances and everything. It's being real. And that's how you feel.
I want to thank you for this because I want to round it up because or else the podcast is gonna be super super long. But I'm gonna
Thank you too.
get you on a couple
Yeah.
more times because you know so much. We have to do like 3 hour podcasts, and it's just intriguing, and I don't even want to stop. But let's really get back very soon. Okay.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Thank you for listening to Jungle Music Vibes, the podcast for upcoming artists. Next episode, we will have another artist or expert talking about, helping you out with your journey. If you want to be a guest, send an email to music@jungo.app, which is jungo.app, or go on our Instagram, jungo_app. And of course, you can also follow me at Sentini Music on all social platforms. SENTINI Music, Sentini Music. See you next episode.